Welcome to the Dare to Begin Small and Mighty podcast. I'm your host, Amy Van Meel, and I am on a mission to inspire and teach changemakers, entrepreneurs, and budding entrepreneurs like you who have big dreams and hearts to help others through their business. If you've been wrestling with the day-to-day biz stuff, you, my friend, are in the right place because that's the kind of stuff that we talk about here. With that, let's dive in. Well, hey there. Welcome back to the podcast. So first, before I get into any official business today, I want to give a huge shout out to Amy Davidson. Now, I have a very special love for other Amys in general because growing up, I was the only one that I knew. It actually wasn't until I hit university that I met another Amy my age, and I decided before I ever met her that we would be friends. So Amy D has been listening to this podcast from the very beginning, and somehow on days that I was feeling really frustrated, Amy would know to message me to say she enjoyed the podcast. I swear the universe whispered in her ear because there was no way that she could know how much I needed her encouragement that day. So I'm dedicating today's podcast to her and to the other Amys out there making big changes happen in the world. Now, I especially love that this is coming today because Amy's encouragement ties perfectly into today's topic. How do you know if you have what it takes? So a big fear that you may have around starting a business that you may not be willing to admit to yourself or to anyone else right now is if you have what it takes. And I totally understand this fear. It is one that I wrestle with every now and again, and especially on the days where things just seem to be going sideways, it makes me wonder, Amy, do I really got this? Or is this meant for someone else? I have to say, if you have received this business idea, this idea's dropped into your head, let's say from the ether, you've been imbued with that idea. Not everybody gets that idea. I don't have the same business idea that you do. You probably have something that looks very different than what I'm doing. So know this, if you receive a download like that, if you receive that spark, wherever it comes from, you have been specifically chosen to have that idea. Now that means that the universe chose you, not me, not the guy down the street, not that other person that you see that might be totally crushing it. It chose you specifically. Now I have to ask, would the universe waste its great ideas? I don't believe that it would. If you received that idea, then I'm guessing that you likely have a passion for the work. And if you're not passionate about it, maybe it's time for a course correction in what you're doing, and the universe is using this idea to show you that. Remember, the universe does not waste anything. Now, this morning I was doing some deep inner work, and the word waste kept coming up in a block that I was working my way through. So I actually looked up the definition of waste because I'm like, Amy, there's something here. Let's see what's going on. Here's the definition of waste: to use or expend carelessly, with no restraint, or with no purpose. Let me tell you, the universe does not use or expend carelessly, with no restraint, or to no purpose. So assuming that you have a passion for the work, and let's believe just for the moment that the universe specifically chose you, how do you know if you have what it takes to deliver? Now, we just said the universe doesn't waste things, so it's not going to waste a great idea on you just to throw ideas out into the world. It's asking you to take action, and this is where you gotta believe. So how do you know what it takes? I have a question for you. Are you maybe noticing tools such as downloads, podcasts like this one, videos, books, conversations, maybe specific people seemingly showing up at random? Now, by random, I mean you have been thinking about how can you bring more money into your business? And the next thing you know, you see a podcast that says how to 3 times or 10 times your income. By random, I mean you were thinking about a friend the other day, and all of a sudden that friend calls you or messages you, like Amy does in my case, and says, hey, I totally believe in what you're doing, and I just wanted to share that with you. I just want you to know that I 100% support you. Now, these things happen to me all the time, and every time it pops up, I am so grateful because it almost always answers a huge question that's been rolling around in my mind. And then when I take that tool and use it, so by use it, I mean I listen to the podcast, or I take to heart something that a friend said, or I find a book that all of a sudden popped up on my radar, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to read this book because I feel like this is important for me right now. There's something here I need to learn. When I use it, all of a sudden, I get past that block that I was having. So the universe does things like this all the time. It's providing you with the tools that you need. That's a great way to know whether or not you have what it takes. Remember, the universe does not waste. It is not going to waste an idea on you, and it definitely is not going to waste really useful tools if you are not meant to do this. So we've determined that you have a passion for this work, and we're believing that the universe has chosen you for the work, and you're seeing tools showing up for your benefit to do the work, and yet you might still be thinking, well, do I really have it? Do I really got the grit to get this done? I want you to think about this. Is there a place in your mind, somewhere in your consciousness, that truly believes this is possible and that you can do this? Most of us have that somewhere. Sometimes it's a little tiny voice or a little tiny inkling, but somewhere inside us, we believe that this is possible. Yeah, that little voice, that inkling, that's your higher self. Your higher self is already in the reality where you are a total boss and you are owning this business idea. So you're getting that inkling because in some level, you already are there. Now, how cool is that to think about? I understand that thinking about your higher self, that the universe is randomly assigning you tools, that they're randomly bringing you people, might seem a bit far-fetched. If you aren't doing any kind of meditative practice at the moment, or you really aren't connected to other tribe members who are thinking on an energetic scale versus simply reacting to reality, this may be some big, broad concepts for you. So I would absolutely encourage that you do some digging, get some learning in. Take a moment every day and do a meditation. It doesn't have to be old school monk style. Just do some self-exploration, because that's when you really connect with that deep voice inside you, that higher self that says, I already know where you're going, and I'm really excited for you to get out of your own way and join me here. Now, sometimes all of these things are still coming to pass and you still have a day where you're just like, I must be absolutely, bat bleep crazy because I don't think I can do this. Things are not going well today. Everything is working against me today. How can this possibly be the direction that I need to be going? And when you have that day, that is when you lean into your tribe. Now, I want to share with you a story. It was not that long ago that I was having exactly one of those days. I was all kinds of in doubt that day. Everything that I was working on seemed to be creating a challenge. And then after a rather frustrating day trying to get the work done, I went to the gym for my usual workout, and I always enjoy my workouts. So I head off to the gym thinking, all right, you know what? If nothing else, I'm going to have a great workout. It'll feel good to get my body moving. I'll get a sweat going, and then at least that will do some clearing and help me feel better. Yeah, no. I came home from the gym. I could barely get out of class before I started crying. Everything just seemed to be coming against me that day. And I'm like, I don't know anymore. Like, what else needs to go sideways today? When I got home, my boyfriend was already home and I really needed to talk. So that blessed man, he listened patiently as I let it all off. And I devolved into just a horrible basket of tears. I was a total mess. I mean, I'd just come from the gym, so my hair was a mess and I was covered in sweat. I did not smell so pretty. And now I was like full on nose running down my face, sobbing in the kitchen. Yeah, it was not a pretty sight. And after I unloaded everything that had been going wrong and everything that I just was like, what is going on here? I said to him, I said, babe, what if I don't have what it takes? What if I'm doing all of this and I just don't have it? And he was so good. He didn't say very much at the moment. He just gave me a big hug and then sent me off to the shower. Now, the next morning, he did come to me as I was getting ready, and he said to me that he believed in me 100%. He knew already that I have what it takes and that he was there to help and support me however he could. And I would be lying if I said to you right now that I wasn't getting a little misty-eyed thinking about how wonderful he is. Sometimes, no matter what we already know deep down inside, no matter how much we have seen things showing up in our life that are preparing us and giving us tools and everything to get going, sometimes we just need to hear from somebody else that they believe in us too. Nobody gets there alone. Now, this is really interesting. I'm going to take a quick side note here. I was listening to a podcast that I think was all about meditation and manifestation. So I was listening to James Wedmore's podcast, which I adore, and it's one of my favorite resources. And he was talking about the idea that there's no such thing as an overnight success or a self-made person. Now, the first one totally makes sense to me. I absolutely believe there is no such thing as an overnight success, and anybody who tries to tell you otherwise is probably trying to sell you something. If this business takes off like I believe it will, it may look like an overnight success because the time frame for what I've projected is relatively short, but what you wouldn't see unless I told you or showed you is all the years of work and practice and learning that I put into place before I got here. So when I say there's no such thing as an overnight success, it's not to say that you can't get there, but it's to say, hey, look, you've been at this for a while. And even if you haven't just started this business right now, maybe you've only had the business for a month, but you've probably been doing something to gain expertise, to build your learning, whatever. When you get that success that you're working so hard for, it is not overnight. And don't let anybody try to sell you short and say, well, you just did it right away. That's not true. Now, the one thing that I struggled with, though, was that James said there's no such thing as self-made. I was like, all right, James, look, I trust you implicitly, and I know you're a very wise dude, so I'm going to keep my mind open here while you tell me why there's no such thing as self-made, because I'll be honest, this one is a stretch for me. So James went on to talk about the fact that basically, as we grow, whether or not we have a coach or a support team behind us, all of us grow using knowledge that we find elsewhere. Now, stay with me here, and I may not be doing as great a job as James did about this, but basically I look at it this way. So this business that I'm starting and the business that I've had before is all me. I've done all the work inside both of them. I'm the one who's responsible for creating all the tools, all the materials, all the projects. Everything comes through me. All right. So yeah, that part is self-made. On the other hand, though, all of the growth and the tools that I've learned have not necessarily come from me. Now, that means I'm looking at things like James's podcast. I've learned a lot through his knowledge and his expertise. I've been reading a ton of books lately, and those books have been really helping me stretch and grow and clear through a whole bunch of junk that I've been holding on to for just way too long. So when he says there's no such thing as self-made, what he's talking about is the fact that you are using resources, tools, and knowledge that someone else is showing you. Now, I do not want you to start beating yourself up or selling yourself short because you're still the one doing the work. But the great thing is you're also the one who's out there looking for those tools, being open to the learning, taking in the information. You are the one that are employing all the tools and the tricks and the knowledge that you are finding and bringing it to bear in your life and in your business. So while there is no such thing as self-made, I completely agree with James on this point. There definitely is something to be said for being self-sufficient in the sense that you are taking these things and using them to create a life that you really want to live. If you're using them to create anything else, then you are literally wasting those resources. You're using them carelessly and you're using them for no purpose. So let's not do that, all right? I don't want you to be wasting any time, any resources. You have big things to do, and if you start wasting stuff like that, well, your big things are going to take longer to manifest. So lean into your tribe. Think about your tribe as a special, universally selected group of human beings that are here to support you. Now, I refer to my tribe as a tribe of 10,000. I often think of Maya Angelou, where she says, I come as one, but I stand as 10,000. That is so powerful to me. And when I envision what my tribe looks like, yeah, there's people in the tribe that are my boyfriend and very dear friends of mine and other people that are coming alongside to support me. But there's also this massive tribe of human beings that I can honestly say, I don't know who they are. I don't know where they came from, but I feel them. I feel that they are supporting me 100%. You have that tribe as well. So whenever you start getting onto your, the pity party of oh my goodness, I don't have what I need. If you start thinking, I don't have what it takes, think about your tribe of 10,000. I promise you that they are out there. And even if you only have one real life example, that is one human being that you can know has been universally selected to get you going. And if you can't think of anybody else, and I would be really surprised if that was the case, think of me, because I 100% believe in you. If I didn't, I would not be wasting my time here on the podcast chatting with you. I have other things that I could do. I believe 100% in what you're doing and that you will get there. All right. Now, I believe in you so much that if you're really stuck and you're just like, Amy, I have no idea how to get started, I totally got you covered. I have created a 10-step launch download that you can get for free to get you moving on your business. This free download walks you through 10 steps, taking you from, I think I'd like to start a business. I kind of have this idea to, oh my goodness, look at that. My business now actually exists in the world. Let me tell you, it's a pretty exciting thing when that happens. To grab that download, just go to daretobegin.net/10steps. So daretobegin.net/10, the number 10 steps. And you'll get signed up to get that download. And I'll give you a few extra resources as well to make sure that you don't get sidelined while you're on your way to creating your amazing business idea. Now, if you want even more support and you're just like, Amy, where do I go? I really want to connect to a community where I can ask questions and ask other business owners what they're doing and, how can I grow that? Well, I've created the Dare to Begin Small and Mighty Facebook group specifically for this reason. Now, at the moment of the recording of this podcast, I'll be honest, the group is kind of small at the moment, but it is a group that is growing. It is a community that I believe is going to make a huge difference as you get your business going. I'll include the link in the show notes for the Facebook group. Finally, I want you to remember that you have got this. And you, my friend, absolutely have what it takes. You have been universally chosen to bring this big business idea out into the world. Go ahead, grab your download, work the steps, and I'm already excited to see you next Tuesday right here on the Dare to Begin Small and Mighty podcast. Thanks so much for your time today. I'll see you then.